So here we are at the new distillery called Portintruan, which is being built by Elixir, who used to own the Whisky Exchange. I'm going to talk you through a flyby that I did when I was on Islay in May 2024. However, there's a problem in that there are two sets of plans for this distillery. The approved plans, and there was an amendment to these plans submitted last year in 2023. The amendment plans were withdrawn by Elixir in February 2024, but looking at what they're building, it seems to match the withdrawn plans better than the approved plans. For example, the approved plans only have one pagoda on the kiln, and you'll see in the video that there looks like there's going to be two, which is what is in the withdrawn plans. So I'm going to talk you through what I have found from the withdrawn plans as we go through the video. I'll link to both sets of plans in the description, and you can look at both and decide whether I'm smoking dope or not. Let's start by having a wee look at exactly where the distillery is being built. Here's a Google Maps view, and this is Port Ellen over here. This is the start of the footpath that goes along past Lefroy, Lagavulin, and eventually to Ardbeg. And this is the site that the distillery is being built on that we're going to have a look at. So looking here from the public footpath, the steel structure thing appears to be going to be the vaulted warehouse, which I'm guessing by the way they've got the ground done there that it's going to be a dunnage style warehouse. Interestingly, in one of the plan diagrams that I've seen, one of the elevations shows it covered in earth, apart from the side facing the distillery, so it's kind of almost underground. Then we have the fancy looking stillhouse, which we'll see an end-on view later. And next to that, we have a building which is going to contain various things, including a restaurant, which I'll talk about once we move along the side of the distillery a bit. We'll just fly down the side of the buildings here for a little bit before we come to a stop, and we can talk about the other buildings that we can see. As we fly over here, the thing that strikes me most about this is the size of the site. It's absolutely huge. So let's just stop here and take a look at what we can see. This building here, starting at the bottom left-hand side, there are some tasting rooms. And then on the first floor, all the full length of the building is admin, offices, meeting rooms, stuff like that, as well as a laboratory. And then on the top, left-hand end will be a restaurant, and the right-hand end will have a bar. If we come down the right-hand end to the ground floor, that'll be the shop. And just round the corner that we can't quite see in this image is the main entrance. Then we have the other long building with the small windows, which is going to be what looks like a three-floor malt house with the kilns at the end. And this is one of the confusing bits because you can see there's two pagodas there, and that's what's in the withdrawn plans. There's only one pagoda in the approved plans. And looking at the back there, we can see this other long building, which we'll see later, has a nice glass fronted end at the left-hand side. That's the tun room, which according to the plans has 14 vessels in it, which I'm assuming are all washbacks because they can't quite see from here the actual mash house, which has 2 mash tuns in it. So yeah, 14 washbacks, that's quite a lot. I'll now shut up for a bit and let you fly around and have a look until we get to the other side of the distillery. Watch out for this building. It's a really strange shape, or at least until you know why it's that shape, it seems like a very strange shape. I'm just going to cut to a still image, which is looking from the glass fronted end of the still room, because it gives us a better view for labeling what's what now. Okay, so just to help you get your bearings, the still room is here and the malt floors that we looked at earlier are there. I'm going to start with that strange shaped building that we flew over earlier. So it looks like half a building, but it's because in these three locations, there's here, here, and here, there's going to be tanks. And they're labelled on the plan as the farthest away one is effluent, the middle one is pot ale, and the closest one to us is spent lees. And they stand outside this strange building in those sort of concrete tubs. And starting at this end of the weird building is labelled filling store, and then the middle part is the seawater inlet and outlet. And then there's a room labelled LSO pumps. I don't know what LSO is. And then if we move down to here, this is where the mill is going to be. And further along in that building are the two mash tuns. If we come over towards the malt floors again, this building here is going to be an experimental pilot distillery. So they're going to be able to play around on a smaller scale, I guess, before going to the main production plant. This building is the steeps for the barley before malting, I guess. We move back over the top of this long building, which we saw earlier as the turn room, and over the mash room, we have this little building, or little roofed part of a building, is described as lab and various admin bits and pieces, office, stuff like that. Then the staff mess. And if we come down to these other two buildings here and here, the first one, this one, is the boiler. And the next one is just labelled plant. So I don't quite know what's going to be in there, but sort of factory type gubbins, I guess. And it looks like it's going to have quite a nice courtyard. It's unclear what they're going to do here. On one set of plans, it's labelled as Botanic Gardens. On the current plans that have been withdrawn, it's got a glass roof and looks like it might be quite a nice place to be. And somewhere about here, I think, is a smoking terrace, which is yeah, a bit of a surprise. So now the only thing left to do is to have a look at the posh end, the nice glass fronted bits. So let's go over there. Here we have the plant room, the boiler room, the turn room, the still room, and the shop, restaurant, meeting room, tasting room building with the restaurant on the top, what's described as a meeting room in the middle, and the bottom says tasting rooms, and at the back would be the shop that we saw earlier. Well, just before we go, I thought you might like to have a bit of a closer look at the what's going to be the warehouse. So here we go. Now you see at the left-hand end there's a concrete floor, and the rest of it, where the casks are going to go, looks like it's not really got a floor at all, which is why I was thinking it was probably going to be dunnage, but yeah, what do I know? Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed the little trip round Portintruan, as it's pronounced and not spelled.